Hi everyone, Jessica from Paper Ink Stamp and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is another Tag Tuesday and I've got here, this is the Creative Craft products and these are the supersized nesting dies that we use all the time. But I have actually gone up another size today because I want to use a couple of new products that I showed you in my recent haul video. So I have gone to the next size up again. I think this is the it's either the third or fourth from the largest size, so I wanted to have a really big sentiment on here and the florals as well. So I've just die cut that from some cardstock, and this is the Creative Expressions watercolor card that I picked up. Again, I showed you in a recent haul video. The main products I'm going to be using is the Crafter's Companion Beautiful Blossoms stamp set. I absolutely love this. I think it's so beautiful, great for that almost watercolor look, which is kind of what we're going for today. And then for the big sentiment as well, I'm using the Elizabeth Craft Design Your Day stamp set. That's why, again, like I said, we're doing a slightly bigger size. So I've picked one of the florals off of this Beautiful Blossoms stamp set, and I will link to the products in the description box down below for you guys if you want to check out these products. So I'm picking out some distress colours as well. So for this, we're going to be using Twisted Citron, Mustard Seed and Carved Pumpkin. And again, this is a couple of new colours. And what I thought I would do is do the stamping, and rather than trying just to stamp it all in the same colour, I'm trying to put the colours where you got the leaves. So I'm using the green, we're doing the yellow for the sort of main body of the flower, and then I try to put a little bit of that carved pumpkin just into the centre of the flowers. I'm really not looking for anything perfect here. We're going to be turning this into kind of more of a watercolour style background, but what I would recommend for this, because this is a solid stamp, which is brilliant, it means then you can do different techniques with these stamps, and it means then you can get some good use out of your inks as well. But I would recommend using a stamping platform. Any stamping platform will do. There's lots on the market. I'm using the Mini Misty here just because I really love the size of it for working on smaller projects. So you can see that I've done one or two stamps there with the different colours. So it looks a lot lighter here on camera than what it was in real life. And sort of looking at the tag now, you have got that mustard seed is really big, beautiful and bold. So I just spun around my tag just so then I can get this at the bottom. So now I was going to do different flowers in here, use up a lot of the stamps in this set, but the majority I did use, you know, this bigger one because it just fitted quite nicely, and you can see that I'm doing that at the bottom. And again, I'm doing multiple stamps of this just to get that colour to lay up really nicely. And again, like I said, you can't see, it doesn't look particularly vibrant on here, but it really is in real life. Then I'm going to take just some of the individual stamps here and I'm going to kind of build in those spaces in between. So I've got this leaf here that I'm going to be doing again just in that green. So you could just keep this to do in one colours for each one. So for example, you can see here I'm literally just using that Twisted Citron, but I could then take a darker colour as well, and I could sort of lay that up, add a little bit of shadow and a little bit more interest, but I'm literally just going for these three colours. Then I'm going to pop another leaf on. So the great thing about using a stamping platform as well is if you've got your stamp already in it, you can just rotate your cardstock in there and kind of use it, and you'll have more of a symmetrical design. But you can see that I am kind of moving them around. You could use an acrylic block, but I wanted to be able to restamp this in the exact same position again to build up those layers. The next I'm going to do is pull a larger image in again, but I'm also going to bring in just a small little flower head just to fill in that gap as well. This really didn't take too long to do, and I think it did create the most beautiful background. I'm definitely going to be using this more often, and again I'm going to be creating some cards with it because I just love that you can use your inks. I find I don't use my inks as much as what I'd like to, and I have got one idea already for what you could do with this. Again, with it being that solid image, I think is just perfect. So it's nice to have a little bit of variety, and again an opportunity to use your inks not just for ink blending backgrounds and things like that, but for, you know, adding layers and depths to a stamp. So now I've got all of my stamping finished. So I really loved how this was looking, and I wanted to just experiment here. I still like how this turned out. Maybe I added a little bit too much water, but I wanted to, because this was very much like a watercolor, the way that the stamps are, the design of it is, I wanted to give it a little bit more, so I just spritzed some water over the top, because this is distress ink. This will react with water, and it kind of just kind of wicks out in the most beautiful way. Potentially there's not enough definition. The leaves I feel definitely would work with this, but maybe the actual flower heads, there's not too much definition in it where it's still keeping its shape. But I still really love how this turned out, and I'm going to try this again, maybe with some different images. It might work a little bit better. But so I spritzed some water on it, and then I'm just blasting it with my heat tool, because I want the water to stop running, but it means that I can add a little bit of water just in certain areas, like around the leaves and things, where I want it to wick a little bit more, and then I can dry it instantly to stop it from moving. So now my tag is nice and dry. I'm going to be doing my sentiment. So I'm popping it back into my MISTI. Again, because of the size of this stamp, this sentiment, you can see just how big it is there. I want to be able to stamp it multiple times, and I'm going to be doing some heat embossing as well. So I want to get a really good impression. Even though my tag is dry, potentially there is still some static on here from any oils on your fingers, or again, you know, just anything sat on the surface. So I'm using this powder tool to get rid of any static left on this tag. That way my embossing powder won't stick anywhere I don't want it to. So I'm going to ink up my stamp. This is the Versamark Clear Sticky Ink, perfect for heat embossing, and you can get a refill for this, so you're only having to buy this once. And then I think I do stamp this just a couple of times. Again, this watercolor card is a little bit textured, so I want to make sure that I get a really great impression with this stamp for that heat embossing, so I get every little bit of detail on there. It does come slightly off the tag. The sort of loop of the Y is hanging off. I could have brought it up a little bit and got a little bit more of that in there, but I thought it fitted really nicely on the tag, even though it was hanging off slightly. I'm using some Papermania gold embossing powder. I just use it over a piece of scrap paper. I keep this purely just for heat embossing, and then I can funnel all the excess, once I've tapped it off that embossing powder, back into the jar. I'm then going to take my heat tool. So this is the Wow, I think it's dual heat or dual temperature embossing gun, so a heat gun, and it's absolutely perfect for melting the embossing powder. You've got two settings on here. You've got number one, which is definitely a lot of a softer heat. It doesn't sort of blow everything everywhere. It's good for slightly longer drying, but it will stop your cardstock from warping and things. I'm quite lazy. I want it to melt straight away, so I do usually use number two. I did want to go back in again, and if you do heat emboss a second time, you do get a much smoother embossing. If you find that you're not overly happy with your heat embossing results, then again you can go back in, and as long as you're getting it back in the same spot again, you can heat emboss back over it, and it is going to give you the most beautiful, slightly more raised, and it is then going to give you a much smoother finish. So this week's tag is quite clean and simple. There's not too much going on, but sometimes you don't need lots of things going on with your tags, whether you are using them on presents, whether you are using them to put onto a card. Maybe we should use a couple of the tags that we have created and put them onto cards. So next we're just going to add some twine. So this is the Creative Expressions twine here. You've got the three different colours. I've gone for the lightest colour with this one, and I did just use a single hole punch just to pop that hole in. I prefer actually using this hole punch rather than the small circle dies. You can see right up in that right hand corner that comes with the die set, only because then especially if you're creating more than one, but you know, you just have to sort of run it through, make sure it stays in place. Sometimes it can get off center. I just find it a little bit easier using this hole punch. I do like the idea of having the metal things, I can't remember what they're called now, that you put into it just to keep it stronger. I do like the idea of those, just as a really nice finishing touch to your tags. So now all we're going to do just to finish this off is add some Nuvo drops. I wasn't sure what colour I wanted to pick up, so I just went with some clear ones. This is the Morning Dew, and I'm going to add those just around the tag. And that is going to finish our tag for today's video. So again, I'll leave some links in the description box down below for you to check out if you want to have a look at any of the products I've used in today's video. If you do want to support my channel and help me to grow, then please hit that like button if you like the video, and that subscribe button as well, so you don't miss out on any future videos. And I was really chuffed with this tag as well because I managed to keep the back of it really nice and clean. So that's going to be it for today's video. Thanks very much for watching and happy crafting.